Okay, so this is our first session on Amazon Web Services AWS CLI. So in session, as I said, we are going to discuss how you can set up AWS CLI and what are the benefits of using CLI, because most of our IT persons are like from Windows background, or they're working on Windows setup or Linux setups. Whether you are application engineer, you are interacting with Windows or Linux or Unix environment. What is the benefit of CLI? So first thing, what is Amazon CLI? So CLI is basically command line interface. We know, like in Windows we got PowerShell or command prompt. In Linux we got shell. So that's similar thing. That's Amazon CLI. What is the benefit of using Amazon CLI? Let's suppose you are doing something. Let's say you have to check your emails. For checking your emails, what you are doing really, you are opening the website, you are passing your credentials, and once you log in, then you are checking your emails. Let's say search. What is happening in background? At the background, everything is happening on command line interface, because all the companies are using CLI at the back end. For example, when you search your email, what it is doing, it is running a query in database. That's a command line query again, to check like which particular email have these keywords. Then it is giving you output. And what's benefit of using CLI? First thing, you can automate the service build. For example, let's say you have to build a instance, a server, or a application. So what you are doing in case of graphical interface, you are logging onto Amazon GUI, then selecting service, then selecting parameters, configuring, then next, finish. So it takes long time because you have to repeat your steps. Let's say you have to do that stuff 10 times. You are repeating your steps. So there is no such way you can automate using graphical interface. But in case you are using CLI, so in CLI you can pass your inputs or parameters in a single command. With that, what are the benefits? You save your time. Second thing, operational documentation is easy. If you see second point which I mentioned. What I mean by operational documentation, let's say you have to document something. You are going for a KT session with your team. If you're telling them, okay, first open browser, then click on this website, one site open, click here. So you are telling them 40 steps. If you're using command line, operational documentation mean in 10 lines you can explain everything. Like this is the process, you have to run this command, that's it. And it's easy to use and manage. As I mentioned, it saves your time, and command line management is easy. I know, like if you are not from Linux or command line background, maybe initially for couple of days it will be difficult for you. But if you are little bit comfortable with command line, I'm 100% sure you are going to like Amazon CLI tool. You are not going to use their web services or their graphical interface basically, because I got experience on both ways, and personally I like Amazon CLI. And all the automation, when you say it's Puppet or Ansible or Chef or Jenkins, everything works with command line for automation. You can't do graphical interface automation because that's not something automation tool works. They need Amazon CLI to work. Okay, in lab setup, I will show you one server which we will configure as our Amazon CLI server. And for prerequisites, I mentioned a couple of things, like you need Linux or Unix or Windows machine. In today's setup, I'm going to use one Linux machine. You need Python version 2.6.5, which is installed by default. Then you need connectivity with Amazon Web Services. What it means, you need basically internet connectivity. And after that you need pip. So what is pip? If your application background, then you know like what is pip. Basically Python installable packages. That's like yum or rpm in Windows. We are installing packages, right? So pip is basically a tool which can manage Python version or format packages. The packages which are written in Python language, it is used to install those packages or manage the packages. Okay, so let's begin with the generating our credentials. So this is Amazon console. First time we have to do little bit stuff using Amazon console. Not sure why screen is not coming. Okay, so this is my Amazon console. I have logged on to console. Okay, for CLI basically how it works. It have one user and its secret key. You can say same thing like when you log into website, you use your username and password. So similar thing here. Username is your access key, and your password is access ID. Access key is your key, which is your password. Access ID is your username. So how to generate that once you log into Amazon console? One thing like you can use Amazon Web Services for free. There is certain limit that you can use this much of Amazon resources in a year. Amazon call it free tier. I'm using free tier because Amazon is not charging me for my testing. So similar way you can set up your Amazon account. Only thing you need your credit or debit card. If you are in India, on a couple of countries like Nepal, they are not providing this support, but in India definitely they are. Okay, so one thing I have already logged on to my Amazon console using my credentials. This is console view, and one first thing which you have to do, you have to click on your username. Like this is my username. Clicking here. Here I have to click on my security credentials because I'm going to download my security credentials so I can configure my Amazon CLI. Clicking here. Okay, so here if you see this particular bit, access key, ID and secret access key. This is the bit which we need to configure Amazon CLI. Clicking here, expanding it. If you see right now there is no key and no password, so I'm going to create a new key because right now I'm only using GUI for management, to creating instances or performing other Amazon stuff. So I'm going to create new access key. Clicking here, this is the key. If I click here, it will show the key. Okay, so I'm just downloading the key file, or it can be displayed on screen. I don't want to display because that will go into recording. Okay, so this is the key file. Go download it. It is opened in another window, so I don't want to show you the key file, but what I can do, let me show you how it looks like when it downloaded. It is something like this. This thing got downloaded. So I have replaced the actual key and password because I don't want to share this thing. If someone got access to your key ID and key, they can perform any action on your Amazon account. They can spin, let's say, 1,000 servers. They can delete your running servers. They can destroy whatever you have configured on Amazon. So first bit is key ID, which you can take as username. This will be unique for every user. Okay, then AWS secret key, that's basically password. Okay, so this is the bit which we got from Amazon. I'm just minimizing it now. Okay, so I'm closing it. And one thing, friends, if you see on my screen, we just created this key file. If you see, it is showing December 24, 2016. It's not deleted, it's active. This is the key ID because actual key is not displayed here. And last use not applicable because we have never used this particular key. We have just generated, we have never used. Last used region. Region is basically geographic area. Let's say in India we got Mumbai or Bombay as a region. In Sydney, Sydney is a region. In Japan, Tokyo is a region. In US, like Oregon is a region. So these are the regions, and it is showing it is not used. Last use service, for which service we have used our key last time, not applicable. Status, it's an active key. Let's say I want to let's assume one scenario, you fear someone picked your key, or you are not going to use your Amazon account, let's say, for example. So at that time, instead of deleting your key, you can make it inactive. What inactive means? This key will not work. If anyone use this key to configure or use Amazon CLI, it will not work. So now it is deactive. If you see, it is saying deactive here, inactive. You can delete this key by clicking on delete button, and you can generate new key again. That's up to you. So that's not something I'm going to discuss. Okay, so that's a one thing, initial thing, we have to generate our key. So key is generated now. So now what I'm going to discuss here, I have let me open one putty. Okay, this is my putty session, and here let me rename this server to something, because this is a VM which is on KVM, and like you don't need very big compute or CPU memory server. You need a basic server, because that's something which is on demand thing, Amazon CLI. So don't go with 10 CPU server with 60 GB or 20 GB RAM. If I show you this VM got only 1 GB RAM, if you see this thing, and in processor it got only one CPU. Okay, so even that's virtual thing, that's KVM, as I mentioned. That's because on my physical machine, that's Windows 7. On that I have installed VMware Workstation. On VMware Workstation I have installed CentOS 7. On CentOS 7 I have installed this KVM. So you can say that's a third or fourth layer of virtualization. So, and this machine got connectivity to internet. First let me rename it. This is CentOS 7. How you can check what OS. If you see, this is Enterprise Linux 7, and you can cat etc Red Hat release. This is CentOS 7.2. Let me rename this server. Hostname ctl is the command in CentOS 7 to rename a server. Set hostname is equal to, not equal to, let's say AWS CLI lab. I'm just naming it AWS CLI lab. So hostname is set. To make it active, I have to just okay, I was on console, so let me open one putty session to this one. Okay, let me log in again. No issues, we will work from console. Okay, so if you see now, new server name is there, and this server is KVM, as I mentioned, and it got connectivity to internet. So let me verify connectivity. I'm just running ns lookup on google.com. So you can see output came, it means this server is connected to internet. Okay, so first thing, now we are going to install AWS CLI, because AWS CLI package is a Python written package. Okay, so we need to install Python PIP first. As I mentioned, we need a PIP in prerequisite section. To install PIP, you have to run first thing you have to, because PIP is not part of default Red Hat or CentOS repositories. This is part of EPEL, which is an extra packages repository for Fedora by Fedora. So I'm just downloading just a minute, let me open one session, because this output is not clear. Okay, so now I'm on SSS session. Earlier I was on console. This is console, but no matter. Okay, first thing you have to wget EPEL release package. So it is saying wget command not found. It means I have to install wget first. So yum provides, let's say, another thing. So I'm just downloading wget first. Let me check. Or yum install -y wget. So it will install wget on my system. Okay, so this is from scratch, so it will give you understanding on some other concept also, how you can use yum to install package. Okay, so now I'm running wget. Okay, if you see this RPM is downloaded, let me do ls-l on this one. You see package is downloaded. Next thing, we have to install this package rpm -ivh. To install, I is for installation, V is for verbose, H is for hashed output, because this is the progress basically. So with H you can see the progress, what is going on. Okay, so package is installed, and let's check whether repo is configured or not. Yum repo list. So yum is basically yellow dog updater that's used for package management in Red Hat and CentOS systems. Okay, if you see here, extra packages for Enterprise Linux 7. This is the repository which just got configured. Okay. So next thing we have to install pip. To install pip, yum install Python pip. That's a package name. So now what we are doing, we are just installing pip so that we can manage Amazon packages or CLI packages. And pip got some dependency. With yum, it will automatically download and install all the dependency packages. I'm saying yes here. It is 2 MB. And see, like I'm getting good speed. I am on a virtual server, which is running again on a virtual server. So you can see like speed is good and no much resources required to perform this lab setup. What I recommend, if you're going to test this thing on your home or your lab setup, just follow the same steps and no need of a big compute or big server. Okay friends, so pip is installed. When pip is installed, basically you can verify running rpm -qa pipe grep for pip. You see pip is installed, python 2 pip. Okay, so now pip list. Pip list is a command to list what are the existing pip packages on this server. Okay, so these are the pip packages on this server. If you see, there is no AWS CLI, right? So as I mentioned, we have to install AWS CLI package now. So yum install, that's my mistake. It's pip install. To install a pip package, you have to use pip install. It will automatically download the package from pip repositories, which is pypi. We have to install AWS CLI and BOTOCORE. What is BOTOCORE? AWS CLI is basically Amazon Web Services command line interface. BOTOCORE is the package which AWS CLI use for all its work. So that's a foundation, you can say. If BOTOCORE is not there, Amazon CLI will not work. BOTOCORE is a low-level interface, and most of the Amazon Web Services use BOTOCORE. And again, that's a foundation for Amazon CLI package. So right now it is downloading the all dependent packages are installing, and if you see, it said successfully finished everything. So let's verify whether it got finished successfully or not. So I'm running pip list AWS CLI. Okay, if you see, this is the CLI package which is in list now. This is BOTOCORE. So we got all required packages. So friends, that's a way to install Amazon CLI and BOTOCORE. So our installation is finished. Next thing, we have to configure our server to connect with the Amazon API. What is API? API is basically application programming interface. What is going to happen? Our server is a client and it is going to hit Amazon API. In simple terms, API, let's say API is a programming language or a facility. When we send some request to that Amazon side, it will hit API, and API will see whether we got right credentials or not. If we got right credentials, it will check what service we are requesting. Then it will check what are the service parameters we are requesting. Let's say we want to query something, we want to install something, we want to delete something. So it will take action. If that action is proper, it will work. If that action is not proper, it will give error. That's the way API work. Okay, so next thing, they mentioned we have to configure our Amazon CLI. For example, AWS, if you see, CLI is installed. That's why this is the command which is working. If CLI installation is not successful, this command will not work. So first thing we have to run AWS Configure. This is to configure your Amazon account command line basis. So once you run this one, it is asking for your access key. Here I believe you can see my key now, but I don't have a risk basically because I'm going to delete this key shortly, so no one can use my key again. So I'm just pasting my key, and this is my key, actual key. Okay, so I have pasted my key. Default region, I don't want any region, or if you want you can set your default region. I am usually using US West 2, so I am setting it here. And output format, let's say I want output in text format. Okay, setup is done. So let me clear my screen. Now because this is not persistent thing, if you have to persistent your things, you have to update those in file. Let me show you what are the files. This is in your home directory, like in root's home directory .aws, which is hidden, and under that there is a file called credentials. If you see, this file is just got created. Let me show you content of this file again. If you see, this is the key and password which we just entered. It automatically updated the file. So this is the credential file. Next thing is configuration file. In configuration file again, let me show you how configuration files look like. If you see, it is showing output is text and region is this one, which we just selected or entered, and this is the key file. So friends, that's a way like you have to configure your Amazon CLI. Next thing, we are going to test our key and whether we are able to contact with Amazon services or not. So you can run any Amazon query command. So I can run AWS EC2 describe regions. I will explain like what is the command format. That's not something that, because that's a big thing, but I can tell you a little bit. If you see, it gave error. It is saying AWS was not able to validate the provided access credentials. You know why? It is saying authentication failure. So as I mentioned, first step, it checks whether our credentials are okay or not. When you hit the API, it means we were able to reach Amazon API, but our credentials got some issue. Okay, just a minute, someone is pinging me. So Ashok, I believe Ashok is already in this call. Let me add him again. Okay, so this is the error we are getting. So to fix it, if you see, like I have deactivated my account, that's a reason the command not worked. I'm making it active again. Make active. So next thing, let's try same command again. It may take some time for account to get active, but if you see, that command worked this time. So it means our account is active. We are able to communicate with Amazon now. So in this way, I can confirm my CLI is working. I already got a couple of servers. So let's check AWS EC2 describe instances. This command will tell me like what are the servers which I got in Amazon. You see, this is the server ID. Output is with Doji. You can output in table format, so you can easily read it, because text is basically used when you want to script it. If you see here, I got one server on Amazon. This is the instance ID and this is the instance type. These are key. Like this is a further thing, not in scope of this section, but that's a thing. Like now, what we did in whole section, whole lecture, we have installed PIP, we have installed AWS CLI and BOTOCORE. After that, we have configured our access key ID and actual key. Then we have tested our CLI is working and we are able to communicate with Amazon services. So let me explain a little bit about Amazon. AWS is the command, okay, which is provided by Amazon CLI. EC2 is the service. And these are the switches or options you want to query or use. Let's say you want to do something about other services. AWS, let's choose IAM and press enter. If you don't know about the syntax, here help. So it will give you idea about that particular command, how you can use it. Because IAM is separate service and these are the available commands. You can run these commands. Like I used to describe region in previous command, you can run this command to to check or create user, deactivate user, delete access key. The access key which we generated, we can delete from here using command line. We can do all the stuffs, whatever we want to do using command line, graphical, we can do everything using command line. So let's run this command. For example, AWS IAM list access keys. So it is telling me this is the key which is generated, and I am using this key, and this key is active. Okay, if I deactivate this key, like I will be not able to run this command, but you can see like I'm able to list the keys which are in graphical interface. So everything what I can do using graphical interface, I can do same stuff here. So that's the beauty of CLI, and you can automate the things. You can write scripts or wrapper scripts to use Amazon CLI. In graphical way, you can't script it. So that was session, friends, and like we have finished in 30 minutes. So now you can unmute and you can ask questions if you have any. And don't worry, you can ask any basic question or any advanced level question. I don't have issue. So I can try to help.